Hey, what's up, guys? So today we are returning to the my favorite WWF LJN Wrestling Superstars tournament. We're currently on round 1, part 5. So we do have all 8 figures set up for today's matchups. Again, I do use the randomizer.org to pre-select all the matchups for me. Now, I did actually kind of mess up, and one of my previous matchups, number 101, R&B Honky Tonk Man. I actually used the Raider Nation Honky Tonk Man, and that wasn't correct. That was actually supposed to be the Honky Tonk Man that we're going to see in today's video. So, I'm going to have to swap places with the two Honky Tonk Man figures. So, and oddly enough, today's matchup was supposed to feature, it's going to feature Rhythm and Blues Greg Valentine versus Rhythm and Blues Honky Tonk Man. So the fact that the two of them are side by side on the shelf, that's gonna be unique. So maybe that's gonna be better in that terms, but I don't like it. I don't like that matchup because they're both great figures, and in that respect, because of their proximity, because of their design, I classify them as rhythm and blues for a reason, right? So, yeah, I don't like it. Maybe it would have been a little bit more of an easier matchup had I selected the actual correct matchup, which would have been the Raider Nation, but that's fine. It'll still be a good matchup nonetheless. So, as usual, guys, I don't like to do a bunch of talking at the beginning of the video. I like to dive right in. So, we're going to start off with the first matchup, which is going to feature number 76 Berserker from Ram Treasures, as he does battle against number 43 Doink. Now, I don't remember who Doink came from. Shoot. Was this a Mike Steyer figure? It might have been Mike Steyer's that I got this from. I could be wrong. Irrelevant. It might have been, but in fact, shoot, it's actually falling apart on me. The stars. And where did they go? Mike Steyer actually came out with a really good Nikolai Volkov figure once before, and it came with like a red, Russian jacket built on, and for whatever reason, it was going for like $50 or $60 way back when, and I passed on that figure, and I was mad at myself, and yeah, damn thing's falling apart. But I kind of see these figures, and I'm like, I kind of see them falling apart, and I'm like, was I really that disappointed? I mean, it's a fine figure. Like, I'm glad I got this Doink. I mean, I didn't pay a fortune. It's not like it was like $100+, right? So it's a fine piece. You guys see that Steyer's Owen Hart figure that I got, and the only reason I got that figure is because of the Jim Neidhart figure that I got in this. That you're gonna see in this video, and that Owen is like one of the worst figures I've ever seen in my life. But like I said, I got it because I wanted the tag team set of the New Heart Foundation. So, but Doink the Clown, he's not quite as good as the Raider Nation Doink that we've seen previously. The only upside between the two figures is fighting pose. Obviously, I much prefer the Nikolai Volkov play pose compared to the Harley Race. But whereas that one has more of like the sneaky face, this is more of like a latter version. Obviously, post Matt Bourne, you didn't have the more Evel Knievel type of sneaky version. You had the more fun Doink the Clown, more kid friendly Doink. So that's more in this version, in my opinion. So, but it's a figure tournament, right? So when you're looking at these figures, you got to think about the actual design of the figure. So when I'm looking at this and I see the chipping of the paint, and and all of that, that's it plays into my decision making of how I feel about the particular playability and serviceability of the figure. So I'm looking at it, and yeah, that is really affecting my overall opinion of this piece. Otherwise, I mean, the paint is it's fine. I mean, overall color scheme, it blends in beautifully. It looks solid. On a shelf, you're looking at this from a distance, it looks spectacular. But then you get up close and you look at those blemishes, and it really hurts. You think Matt Bourne, you think that like the sadistic Doink the Clown, that is fantastic. I love that crazy psychotic version, man. Um, I mean, it doesn't have to be like crazy. We're not talking like John Wayne Gacy, psychotic serial killer type, right? I mean, it could be as simple as, hey, smell the roses, bam, water in the face type of thing. The type of thing that irritates the crap out of a person. The simplicity, the really frustrating, annoying stuff that bothers people, right? And he was such a fun and energetic wrestler too. So, and later on when he's like battling with like Kona Crush, and you see like the multiple Doinks, the writing was on the wall to see that yes, he eventually was going to be replaced. Obviously, he had his demons, alcohol, drug abuse, and that was, like I said, the writing on the wall where he was going to eventually lose his job. And there were many people that were portraying the character of Doink the Clown. And he never, Matt Bourne, aka Matt Osborne, he never let that gimmick slide. Later on in indie shows, he was always portraying Doink. That was his bread and butter. That was his baby. So even though other wrestlers were portraying the character, he didn't let WWF steal that from him. He was still Doink. Good figure, good solid piece. I mean, overall, but I mean, this is something that maybe makes it a couple rounds, maybe a few rounds with the right matchup, but it's not a tournament winner. I know that for sure. Now, when I got Berserker from Ram Treasures, obviously the brown Berserker, this is something that everybody's familiar with, right? So when Ram Treasures came out with John Nord's Berserker, everyone was getting the brown Berserker. Obviously, I've decided long ago that I wanted to start getting figures that were a little bit different from everyone else, because eventually people are going to start selling their figures on eBay or something, and I wanted something that, hey, if I was ever going to buy a Berserker again, I'm probably going to buy it off eBay for a lot cheaper. And more than likely, you're going to find a brown Berserker on eBay than you would a blue Berserker, etc., right? So I decided to kind of go off of like the Hasbro card back. You got a brown figure inside, but the card back shows a blue Berserker. And that's kind of like what he wore when he first entered WWF, was the blue getup, the blue cloak. So, and it really pops. I still want a a brown cloak Berserker eventually to add to the collection, but now the little the boots that are on this figure. I mean, I talk about boots a lot. Talk about someone like Bruiser Brody, Ultimate Warrior, in many different renditions of Ultimate Warrior figures that I have. Some of my favorite figures that have like amazing boots. The over boots that go on this figure, as puffy and big as they are, one of my absolute favorites. Ram Treasures did an unbelievable job with this creation. With the helmet and the horns, awesome. I mean, they did an incredible job replicating the Hasbro. And that's why I'm starting to really love what they're coming out with nowadays. Because when you're looking at Legion of Doom, and you're looking at Berserker, and you're looking at like Ultimate Warrior and the new Hogan, etc., right? What are they getting? They're basically coming out with your 1990 Hasbro characters. Yeah, they're still characters of the 1980s, no doubt, but they're also fans who grew up with Hasbro's in the 90s. You're still getting those same guys he grew up with the Hasbro era. So I'm really loving that aspect. And he is still what? He is a Warlord LJN figure essentially, right? Great play pose, great aesthetic look. When I got this figure in last year, and I was thinking about year 4 or year 3 of the My Favorite LJN tournament, I'm like, hey, could this have potentially won that tournament? Going into that year 3 tournament, I'm like, absolutely. He was definitely close to winning that tournament. And going into year 4, is he another candidate? No doubt. Now, when he's going around and he's huffing and puffing around the ring, you know, the whole Huss thing, he was a tag team partner of Bruiser Brody, and that was sort of in reference to his partner who was murdered in Puerto Rico, right? So that was kind of like, you know, a special shout out type of deal to Bruiser Brody, and I like that aspect a lot. So John Nord, AWA legend, WWF legend. I like that he almost impaled the Undertaker with the sword. It would have been nice if he actually came with a sword and shield accessory, but it is what it is. It's a great piece. 2 legendary characters. John Nord's Berserker, 1,000,000%. Wipes this one out. I can't reattach that sticker, so I guess he's just going to go without. Berserker moves on to round 2. This one is going to be a tough matchup. I have no idea where I'm going to go with this one. Number 68 for Random Treasures, Ultimate Warrior, Volume 2, takes on number 64 from the Raider Nation, Hollywood Hogan. So we'll start with Hogan. And I'm looking at the figure, and I'm trying to place this figure because I'm trying to see which legs they use. Because this doesn't look like they cut up any other piece, right? It looks like one singular piece. And even the neck, it doesn't look like... You're looking at the neck, it doesn't look like they cut off the head and put it on another body or anything. The chest and torso, it all looks like it's one singular piece, but it's not resin. It's a rubber figure all around. Oh shoot. Get it off the stand, but all around it is a rubber figure all around. But you know, it's still Hogan pose-ish, you know, it's not, 100%, like Series 1-ish, but it's very close. Obviously, you throw the little feather bow around his neck, WCW, Hollywood Hogan, back in WWF, WWE, back with the Hollywood Hogan look there. So when I saw this on Raider Nation, obviously Justin, he always reaches out to me anytime, Kenny comes up with new figures. So before he goes on eBay, lists his figures on the Raider Nation eBay site, he reaches out, hey, you want a new LJN figure? I let him know, yeah, if I'm interested or not. I saw this, I'm like, hell yeah, I gotta have it. It's too incredible. But the head mold is absolutely incredible. He's even got this, built-in cross, so that's exceptionally good, right? And I'm not seeing anything on here, guys. Like I would suspect that you would see like some kind of cut around the neck or something where it like bleeds in, where you can like see like something like maybe cut around the waist where they recycle body parts or something. But unless he created his own rubber figure or something. Now there are like lines down here, like you might see that in Mattel too, where they actually have lines down their side of their figures, but it's not like sliced open or anything like that. That's just part of the design, part of the figure. This is why I'm a huge fan of Kenny Lester customs, because his customs, they don't look like customs. They look like legitimate store-bought figures. You know, Mark Hackenberg customs, Kenny Lester customs. They are literally that good. When you go to Round Treasures, she makes her own mold. Nat makes her own mold. So they are, you know, one-piece figures. Problem with a lot of her figures, even if they just sit on the shelves, a lot of the figures, the paint, it does come off. When you look at like the skin on a lot of figures, a lot of the rubber is cheap. Now, not a lot of the mold that a lot of rubber she uses nowadays, they're a lot thicker. A lot of the mold, they look like this, actual flesh tone. But a lot of the rubber, you know, a couple years ago, they look like this. Not good rubber. I can't describe it. It's like a brownish clay type of rubber. So I don't want to say cheap rubber, but like if you were to sit there and you were to go like this back and forth for a few minutes, eventually this rubber will rip in half. So, but this has always been one of my favorite Ram Treasure figures. Probably a top 10 best Ram Treasures. And I've always been a huge fan of the hair of this figure. And I've always said any of my Ultimate Warrior figures probably has one of the best hairdos. So hair design is incredible. The face paint is absolutely miraculous, right? And with the tassels, incredible. Play pose, I mean, he's a Warlord. And I've always said Warlord is a top 10 best original LJN figure. So nothing wrong with that design. Boots, again, incredible. Love the built-in tassels of the boots. It's a fantastic piece. If it's not a top 5 best, it's a top 10 best original design from the Ram Treasures collection. But I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the skin tone of Ultimate Warrior. I'm looking at the skin tone of Hulk Hogan. When I picked these figures up, I honestly thought Ultimate Warrior was going to win this battle. Looking at Hogan now, actually holding this in my hand, looking at the colors and the details, I mean, look at the fire of the boots. I mean, look at the detail that goes into that. Look at the abs and the artwork, right? All right, look at the face. All right, so I just want every intricate detail that goes into the design of this figure. I really think this might be the most difficult matchup of this video. So I don't want to make a rash judgment call on these figures. So this was what? 1990, was it? So 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so that would have been WrestleMania 6. Yeah, so WrestleMania 5 was Hogan and Savage. So WrestleMania 6. That to me, I mean, I don't care if you're 5 years old, 1990, or if I watch that today at age 40. That was an incredible matchup, okay? I love that freaking matchup. I still feel like that was one of the greatest matchups ever. But you were not making Hulk Hogan an Intercontinental Champion, okay? And Ultimate Warrior was already outselling Hogan at that point, merchandise-wise. And you knew that he was about to become a two-way champion with both Intercontinental and Heavyweight Champion. And with Hogan getting multiple movie deals underway, you know, Mr. Nanny and Thunder in Paradise, No Holds Barred, and just like all these different movies, right? What was the other one? The damn sci-fi movie that people always hate on that I always really like, though. The one with The Undertaker in it. I think that was like his first movie. Damn. How can I draw a blank on that? It's like one of my favorite sci-fi movies. It's a cheesy movie, but I like it a lot. Don't hate. Damn. But becoming a huge freaking star, right? and he wanted to do movies and stuff like that. I mean, not the greatest actor in the world, but you don't watch a Hulk Hogan movie for the acting. You just liked it because they're just fun, cheesy kid movies, and they're just fun. They're enjoyable. You watch it for the comedy. I'm gonna go with Hogan, guys. I really love this figure. Now, I knew I was a huge fan of this figure. That's why I jumped on the opportunity to pick this up when I had the opportunity. But just kind of talking about this now, I really didn't realize just how much of a fan I was of this. Like, there's, loving the figure, which is fine. And there goes the stand. There was loving the figure, which is great. Now, talking about this figure, looking this figure over, I'm like, now I'm entering levels where I think that this could be a potential, like, serious threat to win this tournament. That is how engaged I am about this potential figure winning, about this figure. So, I mean, at first I thought, like, maybe this is like a round 2, round 3 figure. Awesome piece. No doubt. But is he going to win the tournament? Probably not. Now I'm looking at this, I'm like, scratch that. One last 10, 20 figure standing. Easy. Potential winner with the right matchup. Could this be one of the last 3? Because, actually, shoot. No, this is going to break down evenly. So we're going to have one of the last 2. I am dying to see how this plays out. But Hulk Hogan is going to move on to round 2. All right. So, number 100. Rhythm and Blues, Greg Valentine takes on, which was supposed to be number 62, Honky Tonk Man, Raider Nation. We already saw Raider Nation, Honky Tonk Man, so I messed that up. So, we moved it to so it's going to be 100, Greg Valentine taking on number 101, Rhythm and Blues, Honky Tonk Man. So, we're going to start with Greg Valentine. The only downside I really have with this particular piece is the boots. Plain jet white boots. I'm telling you, if you were to take a very simple figure, think King Kong Bundy, black boots, throw white shoelaces on a King Kong Bundy, or throw some take a King Kong Bundy, throw some white, like a white tongue on those boots with black laces, it'll stand out. Take this figure, throw like a black tongue on here with white laces, or just simply white boots with black laces. It'll make this figure pop so much more. It's just adding very simple color details, just one single minute change, and it makes it improve that much more. Otherwise, this is a flawless figure. Now, I don't know how customizers do that, where they take a no accessory figure and build on this jacket. I mean, I assume they use like a what they call it, epoxy or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a customer. I don't know how they build that stuff, but Greg Valentine, he's already a top 10 best LJN figure. And he's just simply a black trunks, black boots figure. No design. No color scheme, just an all straight jet black figure. And he's already a top 10 best. It's simply going off play pose, right? But you add all of this to it, and you've got basically a tournament champion. A little color and design makes all the difference in the world. If you were to open up his hands somehow, I'm not talking like, big old holes or anything, but just find some way to like incorporate maybe an accessory where he could actually hold this and throw like a guitar in there or something. Now you're giving him look and you're giving him an accessory to boot. Now you're really making this figure a supreme piece. So, Greg Valentine, he's already said in multiple interviews, podcasts, whatever, he was never really comfortable doing the whole Elvis Presley impersonation. Like, that's just not his personality. Yeah, so he was very uncomfortable portraying this character, but and he always looked extremely freaking odd as a brunette. Like a weirdo, man. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But this figure itself is incredible. My very first tournament, I think Greg Valentine was like a round 5 figure. I would say 130 pieces. I don't remember how many pieces were in that tournament. I'm going to say 130. 130, 132, something like that. He was round 5. Second tournament, I think I had this part of that tournament, and Greg Valentine original was like a first round elimination. Of course, I put round 1. I had Greg Valentine original versus Greg Valentine custom, and the custom defeated him. So, I mean, obviously that explains it, right? And he was like either round 5, round 6 elimination. So, I mean, he still went as far as you could expect. And the 320 figure round year 3, both figures were, again, they all went as far as they could. They didn't square off against each other. They're both unique figures. I don't remember how well either one of them did, but I assume they did pretty well. This is always I've always said this particular piece is always a bona fide potential champion, no matter what. I don't care if he's going up against Bruiser Brody in the final match, or if he's going up against Colonel Mustafa in the final match, Zeus in the final match, whatever. Opinions change over time. This is always a bona fide champion regardless. He's got the designs, he's got the play pose, he's got name recognition. I grew up watching Greg Valentine. May not have been the biggest fan ever, but I watched him. I knew of him. I grew up watching. He's like a Ric Flair type, right? He's like a Hulk Hogan type, a Bret Hart type. We knew of Greg freaking Valentine, okay? But this Honky Tonk Man is right there in line with the Raider Nation Honky Tonk Man. And some people in past tournaments have actually argued that this blue Honky Tonk Man might actually be just as good, if not better, than the black Honky Tonk Man that I have from the Raider Nation. So, is this a bona fide potential champion of this tournament? I don't know if I would necessarily say that a Honky Tonk Man wins the tournament, but it's a perfect piece. When you look at the overall design, it's a figure first tournament, right? It's a figure tournament. And this is a perfect piece. This is why I like the clothing first figures. You can't put a Hulk Hogan Series 1 or an Andre Series 1, Greg Valentine Series 2, and expect those to win most of the time. They're very plain, simple figures. But a figure like this can win more times than not because they've got those added attributes. The play pose of a Hogan, of an Andre, of a Greg Valentine, those are what's going to put them over the top and help them win a tournament like this. Play pose, it may not be the worst. It's actually a serviceable, playable, and enjoyable figure. But it's the design and look of these figures that's going to be really enjoyable. What really sucked is when you look at like Hasbro, you know, my line from childhood, right? If you look at the back of the cards, the Rhythm and Blues actually would have had a legitimate 2-pack release, but then the tag team broke up and they never got their 2-pack release, which sucked. And Greg Valentine would have actually had his own prototype of his Rhythm and Blues, but that never came to fruition either. And that's how you got the single card in Series 3. Honky Tonk Man, yeah, he's still around, still doing shows. I think he's doing indie shows nowadays, but you know, he's out there, he's out and about, still doing like signings and stuff and around. Does a lot, like he still does a lot of shoot interviews and stuff. So you learn a lot about guys like from Honky Tonk Man and from Bruce Pritchard, from Jim Cornette, guys like that, right? Jake Roberts, they do a lot of shoot interviews, and I love the guys in the locker room from the 80s, 90s because that's eras we grew up in, right? Yeah, I love hearing those backstories. Dutch Mantel, another great one to hear backstories and hear what they have to say. Any other matchup, I think this would win 9 times out of 10. In a tournament like this is supposed to be a 5th round figure, but he can't beat Greg Valentine. He can't beat the Rhythm and Blues. This is, like I said, this should be a finalist. This is how good this one is. So Greg Valentine is pushing on to round 2. All right. This one is going to be the last matchup. Number 88, Huck Black from Ram Treasures takes on number 42, Jim Neidhart, with the Junkyard Dog pose. Yeah, we're going to start off with the Junkyard Dog pose, Jim Neidhart. Now, this one actually comes from Mike Stiers, and this one is, there goes another star. This is probably the best Mike Stiers figure I've ever seen. Maybe second best to that Nikolai Volkov. Like I said, I bought that really horrible Owen Hart from him because I really wanted the Jim Neidhart. And, I mean, Junkyard Dog, he's an adequate figure, right? I've always talked about, like, the grip of the Junkyard Dog being really bad, right? But the play pose, the play pose in general is, you would think that's exactly what you're looking for. You know, arms out, just far enough where it's not the whole stupid Tito Santana, but it's the right distance. You know, the right height, it's up. Perfect body slam pose, punching, body slam, clothesline, just what you need for a figure. But the grip of it is just so awkward. So, I don't know, just kind of strange. And, you know, he's got like sort of like a Hasbro-esque Series 5 type of Jim Neidhart. You know, good head sculpt on it. I don't know if he cut off a head of an original or if he just, I assume that's just a 3D printed head that he repainted and put on a Junkyard Dog. But he did a really good job painting the body and, you know, repainting the whole legs and stuff. So I really like this one. He did a really good job on this one. But you look at, you know, the hands. I mean, you might see possible cracking. Gotta look this over. No, I mean, I don't really see cracking. Not really. But when you get like around the neck and whatnot, you see, like you see those bumps and stuff around the neck. So I mean, it could have been sealed a little bit better. But I like the face. I think the face looks a little bit better than an original LJN Jim Neidhart, possibly. And I kind of backtracked to that Owen, right? And I'm like, that Owen wasn't good at all. But how could I get this Jim Neidhart that I really wanted and not take the Owen Hart? Well, I can't offer him half price, right? Let's say it was $100. Can I offer him $50 for just the Jim Neidhart? He may not take it because the Jim Neidhart is really the valuable one in that lot. Well, what if I offer him $70 for just the Jim? Then I'm like, well, then I'm paying you $70 for a Jim Neidhart when I could just pay you $100 and just get both of them. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well just pay the $100 and get both figures. But that Owen was really bad. I mean, the waist down on that Owen was decent. It was just the Macho Man pose with the horrible, like, I don't know what that face was all about. That was not Owen Hart. But we're not talking about that. He's not part of this tournament, so who cares, right? uh, I like this one a lot, though. I'll give him huge credit on this piece. He is part of this tournament because I like the figure a lot. So, sadly, Jim Neidhart not with us anymore. A lot of the Hart Foundation members, nobody outside of Brett are with us anymore. No Owen, no Jim, no British Bulldog. Shoot. Not even Brian Pillman. I was actually looking at this Facebook post, I don't know, several months ago. And actually had a picture of all those guys lined up next to Bret Hart. And I think all the guys were like grayed out or something. And you would just had this digicolor of Bret Hart. And I'm like, man, that's freaking, that's sad as hell right there. Like, why would you show something like that? That's depressing. But Junkyard Dog, why do I keep calling him Junkyard Dog? I keep looking at the fighting pose. I keep thinking Junkyard Dog. Jim Neidhart goes up against Legion of Doom Hawk. And when did we see Animal? We saw Animal, I want to say in the second video. We saw, or was it the first video? Nope, we saw Animal in video 2. So, we saw both Legion of Doom and Black twice in the first 5 videos. So, we just have both Legion of Doom Red now to see in this tournament. I already know, guys, I'm going to choose Legion of Doom. This is a really good figure, don't get me wrong. I like this one a lot, but one, I am a much bigger fan of Legion of Doom than I will ever be of Jim Neidhart. No shade to Jim, but we're talking about one of my favorite tag teams of all time. And I've always loved the intimidating presence of Legion of Doom. I've always loved the spikes and the chest plates and everything. One thing I really appreciated with Ram Treasures when they came out with their new set of figures, when they came out with Animal, you know, they moved away from the Ken Patera pose with Red, and they moved to like sort of like an Arn Anderson, Ted Arcidi type with the second figure when they added the spikes, because you know the arms up, they couldn't do that with the spikes, right? Now with Hawk, it doesn't matter if the spikes are on or off because his fighting pose, it works both ways. But with Red, he had this pose with the spikes. It doesn't matter. The pose still works. I would have liked if they actually changed his pose too. Made a different pose, different figure completely. I also liked with the Red is that they actually put color, you know, detail, Legion of Doom down the pants. It had like little red, you know, wrapped around the waist and down the legs and everything. With the Black, all it is just straight jet black down the pants and boots. No other detail, no other color. That hurts the figure a lot. Face paint on both figures, red or black, doesn't really matter. Yes, the chest plate or the spikes, huge upgrade. So if you were having Black against Red, who would you choose? Do you prefer the spikes, or do you prefer the extra detail in the color of the pants? That is what you would have to argue. Now, you could say, well, if you want like AWA era, would you have changed this? Maybe had this be like more like a green face color scheme or something. Something like, why do I keep forgetting that company? Oh man, I keep reading a company they're not Remco style figure. Well, they're sort of Remco style figures, but they made Legion of Doom and they made a couple referee variants. I think they made like Buff Bagwell. They made a couple other characters. and they made so I'm kind of trying to remember what the company was called, but like they had AW era Legion of Doom, and they had like green color scheme in the face, and maybe if like Ram Treasures had gone with that color scheme, maybe that would have worked a little bit better. But and here's another thing, like it's so small, minute, but here's another paint loss in the plates, and every single time I pick up a new Ram Treasures figure, I see some kind of paint loss. Like there's nothing going on up here, right? There's no markings. There's the stand doesn't touch up here. So why is there paint loss up here? Every time I put, and that's what bothers me about their figures, is like there's always paint chipping, there's there's paint loss, or there's like paint on the hair or something. I'm like, that, why? At this point, I mentioned a couple of videos ago that I wasn't going to buy from anymore, and every time I pick up one of their figures, that explains why, because it just feels like their stuff doesn't last. Customs, they don't last. But Hawk, he will move on to round 2. And that is going to close out this video, guys. And I got to stop with these 40-minute videos. I talked about making year 4, wanting my videos to be 15 to 20 minutes. I am failing miserably, guys. At least 25 minutes, right? Keep it below 30, but I can't do it. I suck. Well, hopefully you guys are enjoying the longer videos, and maybe at some point when we get to round 2, round 3, maybe I'll be able to kind of slim these videos down, keep them under 40 minutes. Maybe I'll hover around 30, 35 minutes, and it'll be a little bit more manageable. But for now, guys, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you guys in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.